Okay, so basically, the desperation of the Jamestown settlers for labor, the impossibility of using Indians, and the difficulty of using whites, the availability of blacks offered in greater and greater numbers by profit-seeking dealers in human flesh, and with such blacks possible to control because they had just gone through an ordeal which, if it did not kill them, must have left them in a state of psychic and physical helplessness. Is it any wonder that such blacks were ripe for enslavement? This shit is really hard to process. Like, he talks about how slaves are transported to the United States or to North America, and most of us know this already, but on one occasion, hearing a great noise from below decks where the blacks were chained together, the sailors opened the hatches and found the slaves in different stages of suffocation, many dead, some having killed others in desperate attempts to breathe. Slaves often jumped overboard to drown rather than continue their suffering. To one observer, a slave deck was so covered with blood and mucus that it resembled a slaughterhouse. One John Barbot, at the end of the 17th century, described these cages. These cages that they're referring to is where the slaves that were about to be transported to North America were being held. Okay, so he described these cages on the Gold Coast as the slaves come down to Faida from the inland country, they are put into booth or prison near the beach, and when the Europeans are to receive them, they are brought out onto a large plain where the ship's surgeons examine every part of every one of them, to the smallest member, men and women being stark naked, such as are allowed good and sound are set on one side. Marked on the breast with a red-hot iron, imprinting the mark of the French, English, or Dutch companies. The branded slaves after this are returned to their former booths where they await shipment, sometimes 10 to 15 days. Then they were packed aboard the slave ships in spaces not much bigger than coffins, chained together in the dark, wet slime of the ship's bottom choking in the stench of their excrement. I'm just going to end the video right here, actually. We need to sit with that.